Okay, good morning. This is day 39 of these videos. I'm making little videos sharing a day in the life of me as a human with schizophrenia and to share a piece of my sanity amidst society going crazy and then turning it back around on me and telling me I'm crazy. You can skip this little intro and uh, if you've seen it already, it's about 2 minutes. I came to the realization while writing my book, which is on medium.com, and it's posted to my Facebook page, that if I was going to describe myself to others, I would describe myself as a itty bitty writer who experiences schizophrenia. It is a reality to be experienced, and much of the experience can be ascribed to coming into contact with operations and systems that use advanced technologies, including political technologies, or advanced or modern systems. Uh, I'm just a one-time semi-activist. I am now a brain damage author of a book. I am writing about technology and society, psychological operations, and political surveillance. And in this book, I describe some of my thought processes, which could have potentially got me targeted. This targeting has resulted in me having a schizophrenic functioning of my brain. This program is typically described as a targeted individual program by other people. And there's groups like Targeted Justice and things like that describe it. But I like to describe it as schizophrenia for myself because, for one, my brain now functions like a schizophrenic, and I've been programmed that way. But I described that in day 17 of these little videos. So if you go back to day 17, you can see why I choose to do that. And I'm actually the recipient of organized political warfare, what NATO describes as cognitive war, and what the chief intelligence officer of Indian intelligence describes as neuroweapons, and what the Chinese describe as neuroweapons. And this has resulted in me having a condition of schizophrenia, which is more coming into contact with operations of the underworld and classified sectors of American democracy. And so, yeah, that's that. So I'll start today going into. Okay, I told you the other day that I did like a Gazelle Dance to try to do some exercises throughout my day. One of the things with schizophrenia is like a lot of schizophrenics become really overweight because the medication you're on affects your hormones, affects your cortisol, all that and stuff. So I tried to exercise. I do a lot of steps every day. I have a step counter. I'm training for the Camino de Santiago with my mom and dad. This is my step counter, and I do like 10,000, 12,000, 14,000 up and up steps on there. And now I started this Gazelle Dance, but I'm going to have to table that because I got like a little blister on my foot. I was doing like a jump, jump, jump thing, and it ended up giving me a blister on my foot, and I need my feet to do my walking. So the walking is good. So a lot of times in our overzealousness to get better bodies, we don't take into account that we have a pretty decently healthy body already, and we have to not abuse our body so that it gets worse in the end. You want to enhance your body. So it's okay to want a better body, but like don't want a better body to the point where you're willing to destroy your body to get it. So I have to be mindful of that. So I'm hoping to go back to the gym with my mom and dad, and maybe on my own too, because I have a car and I get to the gym. But I didn't go over the summer because of a lot of reasons, but my dad was recovering from hip surgery, and so I just didn't have the time, and I was in my classes and stuff, but I'd like to get back into the elliptical. Hopefully I can do that maybe. And the Gazelle Dance I was doing was really nice because it was like a endorphin release. I was getting like a good jolt of exercise instead of a prolonged, softer exercise. So maybe when I go to the gym, I can do like fast minute and a half fast on the elliptical instead of doing the steady pace and do like little interval training or something. So okay, in the previous little segments I've talked on here, I've discussed that there was potentially, you know, a human hand in the fires, and I read an article through CNN.com which describes the fact that in southern Italy, the Mafia is considered responsible for about half of the fires that start in southern Italy. And supposedly the Mafia is trying to create fires because there's the lucrative contracts in rebuilding, there's lucrative contracts in fighting fires, there's seasonal workers, there's a lot of different. This is just lucrative. It's lucrative, and they can take ownership of the land that way and say this land is still ours. And they could say stuff like they could do vendettas against people, like burn people out of their homes and stuff. So I thought that was really interesting that CNN ran that article, and yeah, so it makes you wonder what the fires are going on here in California. Now the government is kind of like a mafia. There's little mafias within the government all over the place on all different sides of the aisle. And potentially you have like a mafia that overrides all of it. You know, there's supranational entities, and you never know what could be going on. But anyways, so there's some politics to mafia too. So okay, in my book on the wolves, it describes oh in chapter 8 of my book, I just in my book that I wrote myself, that's on medium.com, I describe immigration, my thoughts on immigration. And if you want to know my thoughts on immigration, you can go there. And basically, uh, I am for political integration in the world where the countries behave like they do in the EU, where citizenship rights are handed out to people across nations, and so that you have a way to deal with transnationality and criminality and all that. And underclasses of citizens get elevated into society, and you don't have exploitation going on. That's my opinion. I think that's where we have to go. So you can read my thoughts on that. But if we're not going to do that, because most of the world seems to be going away from that idea, then I would be more aligned with the Bush era, where at least as a compromise, because Bush was for work visas and things like that. And personally, I don't think that is a solution to the problem, but it is better than mistreating people and treating them like they are pariah on your society when they're actually making the society go. And, oftentimes we talk about how we're taking care of immigrants, but they're literally picking our food that we eat every day. It's like a slave master talking about how they take care of the slaves. It's completely ridiculous, and it's outrageous that we are not really functioning like we did in the 1860s, where we said we're gonna we're gonna let free the oppressed masses. Instead, we're saying we're gonna kick the oppressed masses out of the country. And this Stephen Miller and these Trump people, they're like little Nazis. And I've known that this country was like Nazi for a long time, but like it's now showing its head, like not even hiding it anymore. So we're like in the early stages of Nazism, and it's like, is it going to get worse? You don't know. The whole that is first they came for the immigrants. I didn't speak out because I wasn't an immigrant. Then they came for the gays, and they came for the communists, and they came and so on and so on. I wasn't gay, I was a communist, so I didn't worry about it, And so you don't know where this is headed, and it just seems like something has changed in this country over the past decade or so. And so, in talking about this, the immigrants are. I was reading my book about wolves and how they were prey. And I was getting into the mindset of the guy describing the wolves and humans. The wolves, they notice the wolves go after the weak prey and the older, weaker ones. And so it was just describing to me like, the immigrants were going after the weak ones, the ones that committed a crime. They're kind of weak. They have social standing that is weak in our society. So we can say we can just get rid of them, boot them out of the country, put them in a concentration camp on the border, and then you're going to go up to the next one, which is the illegal immigrants because they're in the country illegally. So you go after them. And these people are weak. And I related to this because as a schizophrenic, I was gone after because I was considered weak. I was considered easy prey, and they could run their schizophrenia program on me, and I wouldn't be able to do much about it because I was weak. I had weak social standing. Uh, so I was kind of isolated and alone. Nobody would believe me. And they even go after your family because your family is considered weak. So they pick on you like you have a weak family. We're gonna go after you as the schizophrenic because it'll be easier to manipulate you and control you that way because you won't have any outlet or something like that. So they like to go after weak families that are not powerful families or whatever. So they go after families and they go after schizophrenics individuals because they're considered weak. And so there's some amount of weakness that I exhibited, and that's why they went after me, like a wolf hunting prey. There's a predator mindset. All right, in the Matthew McConaughey book, he describes growing up as a kid, and he describes building a tree house, and then his mom divorced his dad a few times, and he describes going to live with his mom for a time, and she had this idea that you would rub mink oil all over your face and it would help your acne, and it actually made his acne worse, and he got big acne in his face. And I remembered being a kid and getting acne. It's not fun, but uh, what you can know is that it eventually goes away, as long as you're not popping them and doing stuff like that. Like, you let it heal. I think what I used was oh, I don't remember what it was called, but it was like these little bottles. I can't remember what they were called. It was like this green and white bottle, and it actually really helped me a lot. But really, your diet is what causes that. So no kids are pretty watching this, but it's your diet. And I didn't realize that when I was a kid, I had like oily diets, and that was really what was causing and I dirty face. Didn't wash my pillows and my face in the shower and stuff. All right, in Katie Ledecky's book, she describes her coach Nesty, and she uses a phrase in there to describe why she liked the Florida encampment so much. And she said it was the coach took these individuals who had disparate histories, and he was able to create harmony and synergy among them. And he was able to create an environment that created harmony and synergy. He was able to draw them all together and create harmony and synergy among them. And I thought that's a great way. An example of how that's a good example of how sports can mold society a little bit. Is that, just that example in sport teaches you a little bit about society or a positive aspect of society, to where people who can take a group of people and they can synergize and harmonize disparate histories among people. That is something that we can learn to do as a country. And right now we're not really there, right? We have the person that's leading this country right now doesn't really want us to be synergized and harmonized, and so, but I took that away from Katie Ledecky's book, and it kind of showed me like, okay, I could see how she was educated at Stanford University, but maybe this comes from a long life in American history, because that used to be what America was about. America used to synergize and harmonize disparate histories of people, and it seems like we're we're more into conflict now. All right, I'm gonna stop here because it's been 15 minutes. All right, thank you.